This video is brought to you by Domain.com. Name it, build it, host it. It all starts with a great domain. Hello guys, welcome back to my another After Effects tutorial. In this After Effects tutorial, we are going to create this. To create this intro, you need 10 image or video files. You can use more images. If you want to extend this intro, here you can see, I have already imported the image files required for this project. Now let's see how to create this intro. Create a new composition. Name it as slide 1. For this composition, I will set time duration to just 1 second, remaining everything will be same. Perfect. Now let's add our main title text in this composition. For this text, set leading to auto. Here I will be using font family Bibers New, style to bold. Increase the font size. Here if you want to reduce the leading amount between the text you can do it. Make sure paragraph alignment is set to center text. Now align text to center. Now let's recompose the text layer. Name it as main text. Now let's create a null object. Parent main text to null. For null, press S to bring up scales. Now at near about 15 frames. Create keyframe for scale. Now at start, set the scale value to 500. You can see the preview. Select keyframes. Change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. Perfect. Now again create a new null object. Parent null 1 to null 2. For null 2, press S to bring up scales. Now at 10 frames. Create keyframe for scale, change scale to 200. Now at end of the timeline, change scale to 80. Select keyframes. Change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Perfect. You can see the preview. Let's enable the motion blur for the text composition. Our main text is ready. Now let's create another composition. Name it as slide 2. For this second slide, let's set time duration to 4 seconds. Now let's add the first image file to the timeline. Here we will trim this slide at 20 frames. Let's recompose it. Name it as image 1, select move all attribute into new composition. Also select adjust the composition time duration to the layer. This will create the composition of just the time duration set of the layer. Now for this image composition, press S to bring up scales. At 20 frames, create keyframe for scale. Now at start, set scale to 150%. Now select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. Perfect. Now for this image composition, in Effects and Preset, search for CC Reptile. Add it to the image composition. For Reptile, set expand up to 200. Change tiling to unfold. Now for this image composition, in Effects and Preset, search for Transform. Add it to the image composition. Now at 20 frames, create keyframe for scale. Now at 5 frames, change scale to 110. Perfect. Now at 10 frames, create keyframe for position. Now at end of this layer, change position value as shown. Perfect. Now press U to view all created keyframes, select the position and scale keyframes, change keyframe assistant to Easy Ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. Perfect. Here our image 1 is ready. Now let's add the second image to the timeline. Let's scale it to fit the screen. You can also adjust the position. Now let's trim at 20 frames. Let's pre-compose it. Name it as Image 2. For this image composition, from Effects and Preset, we need to add CC Reptile, but first let's add this transform effect. Now let's search for CC Reptile. Add it to the image composition. For Reptile, set the expand down value to 200. Change tiling to unfold. Let's place this effect above transform. Now for transform, at 20 frames, create keyframe for position. At start, reduce the position value as shown. You can see the preview. Now at 20 frames, create keyframe for scale. At 10 frames, change scale value to 110. Press U to view keyframes, select all keyframes, change keyframe assistant to Easy Ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. Perfect. Now place this composition at 20 frames. Now here we will add 4 image files to the timeline. Here you can arrange them or keep as it is. Here we will trim them at distance of just 3 frames. Perfect. Now let's recompose them one by one. Perfect. Now select all the image compositions, press S to bring up scale. At 3 frames, create keyframe for scale. Now at start, change scale to 150%. Select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to Easy Ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. Perfect. Now let's place them one after the other. You can see the preview. Here if you need to scale your image file if needed. Perfect. Now let's add the 7th image file to the timeline. Let's scale it to fit the screen. Adjust the position if needed. Here we will trim this image file at 5 frames. Now pre-compose it, name it as image 7. For this image composition, add the CC Reptile effect. For Reptile, increase all values to 200. Tiling 2, unfold. For this image composition, press S to bring up scale. At start, change scale to 90%, create keyframe. Now at 5 frames, change scale to 60%. Now increase the Reptile values. Select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. Perfect. Now place it at end. Perfect. Now let's add the 8th image file to the timeline. Here you can trim the image file for remaining duration. Pre-compose this image layer. Name it as image 8. Now add the CC Reptile effect. For Reptile, set all values to 200. Tiling 2, unfold. For this composition, press S to bring up scale. At 10 frames, create keyframe for scale. At start, set it to 180%. Now at 20 frames, create keyframe for scales. Now at 1 second and 10 frames, change scale to 150%. Now at end of the timeline, change scale to 140%. Select all keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. Perfect. Now from Effects and Preset, search for Transform. Add it to the image composition. Now at 25 frames, create keyframe for scale. Now at start, change scale to 110%. Press U to view keyframes, select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. Perfect. Now let's place this composition at the end. Let's see the complete preview. Here our image part is ready. Now let's add the text layers. Here we will add the first text. Align the text to the center. Perfect. Now let's trim this layer at 20 frames. Now we will animate this text layer. Press S to bring up scale. At 10 frames, create keyframe for scale. At start, change scale to 200%. Select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. You can see the preview. Make sure the anchor position is set to the center. While pressing Y key, select and place it at center of the text layer. You can see the preview. Now for this text layer, from Animate, select Position. Set Y position to 40. In Range Selector, in Advance. At 20 frames. Create keyframe for Amount. Now at 15 frames. Set Amount to 0%. You can see the preview. Select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Adjust the speed graph as shown. Set start value to 35%. Set end to 75%. Here you can see the effect. Now we will create duplicate of this animator 1. Press Ctrl+D to create duplicate. For animator 2, in Range Selector, set start to 0%. Set end to 100%. Set Y position to 115. Perfect. Here our text 1 is created. Now let's create duplicate of this text layer. Place this text layer at 20 frames. Now let's change the text for second text layer. Now for this text layer. For animator 1, let's change the Y position value, set it to -50. For animator 2, set Y position to -50. Now press U to view keyframes. Here we need to change the keyframe values. For first amount, set it to 100%. For second keyframe, set it to 0%. Select the first keyframes, adjust the position as shown. Here we will remove this scale keyframes. Here you need to adjust the second keyframes. Perfect. Our second text layer is ready. Now here we will add third and fourth text layer. Add the text layer. Align the text to the center. Now let's trim it at 1 second. Place it as shown. Now let's animate the text layer. From Animate, select Tracking. At 2 seconds. Create keyframe for tracking, set tracking amount to -20. Now at 10 frames, change tracking amount to 20. Now move 5 frames forward. Create keyframe for tracking. Now at end of the layer, change tracking amount to -20. You can see the preview. Select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. Perfect. Now let's create our fourth text layer. Align it to the center. Let's trim it at 3 seconds. Now let's animate the text layer. From Animate, select Tracking. At 3 seconds, create keyframe, set tracking to -20. Now at 20 frames, change tracking to 0%. Select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. You can see the preview. Perfect. Select all the layers. Let's enable the motion blur. Now let's add the shadow effect for the text layers. In Effects and Preset, search for Drop Shadow, add it to the text layer. For shadow, adjust the distance. Adjust the softness value. Slightly adjust the opacity. Perfect. We will copy this shadow effect. Now paste it over all the text layers. Perfect. You can see the preview. Here our second slide is created. Now let's create the third slide. Create a new composition. Name it as Slide 3. Set time duration to 2 seconds. Perfect. Now let's add the 9th media file to the timeline. Let's trim it at 1 second. Let's recompose it. Name it as Image 9. For this composition, in Effects and Preset, search for CC Reptile, add it to the composition. For Reptile, change Expand Right to 2000. Change Tiling to Unfold. Now for Image Composition, press S to bring up Scale. Now at 15 frames, create keyframes for scale. Now at Start, change Scale to 180. Select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. Now in Effects and Preset, search for Transform. Add it to the image composition. Now at 20 frames, create keyframe for scales. Now at 5 frames, change scale to 110%. Now at 15 frames, create keyframe for position. Now at end of the media file, change X position value to -1300. You can see the preview. Press U to view keyframes, select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. You can see the preview. Perfect. Now let's add the 10th image file to the timeline. Here you can trim this image file, or you can keep it as it is. Let's recompose it. Name it as Image 10. For this composition, let's add transform. Now search for CC Reptile. Add it to the image composition. Place this reptile effect above. At 20 frames, create keyframe for position. Now at start. Change X position value to 3100. Here we need to increase the expand left value. Increase it as shown. Change tiling mode to unfold. You can see the preview. Press U to view keyframes, select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. You can see the preview. Perfect. Now press P to bring up position, at 1 second and 10 frames, create keyframe for position. Now at 15 frames. Create keyframe. Place second keyframe at end. For end keyframe, change X position value to 370. Now increase the expand right value as shown. You can see the preview. Select keyframes. Change keyframe assistant to easy ease. You can see the preview. Perfect. Now let's place this composition at 25 frames. Perfect. Now let's add the text. Align the text to the center. Now let's animate the text layer. Press S to bring up scale. At 15 frames, create keyframe for scale. Now at start, change scale to 150%. Let's position the anchor point to the center of the text layer. Select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. You can see the preview. Perfect. Now for this text layer, you can add the shadow effect, or you can just copy the shadow effect from the previous composition and paste it. Perfect. Here our slide 3 is ready. Now let's create our final slide. Create a new composition, name it as slide 4. For this composition, set time duration to just 1 second. Here you can add the text layer or you can add your logo. Here I will just add my channel name. Align the text to the center. Here if you want you can reduce the font size. Perfect. Now let's recompose it. Here you can name it as logo or text. In Effects and Preset, search for Transform. Add it to the composition. Now at 20 frames, create keyframe for position. Now at start. Change position value as shown. Press U to view keyframes, select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. You can see the preview. Perfect. Now let's create a new adjustment layer. In Effects and Preset, search for CC Scale Wipe, add it to the adjustment layer. Now at 10 frames, create keyframe for stretch. At start, change stretch to 6. Change angle to 90 degrees. You can see the preview. Press U to view keyframes, Select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. You can see the preview. Perfect. Here our slide 4 is created. Here you can see all 4 slides are ready. Now let's create our final composition. Name it as intro. I will set time duration to 8 seconds. Now add all the slides one by one. And position them. Perfect. Now let's import the noise media file. Add it to the timeline. Change mode to screen. Set opacity to 75%. Now select all the layers, pre-compose them. Name it as animate. Now let's create 3 duplicate of this animate composition. For this composition, in Effects and Preset, search for Shift Channel. We will add this to all the above duplicate compositions. For below composition, change green to fall off. Change blue to fall off. For second composition, change red to fall off. Change blue to fall off. For first composition, change green to fall off. Change red to fall off. Change above to composition mode to add. Now we will adjust the scale value. Increase the scale value by 1% for each composition. Perfect. Now let's see the complete preview. Perfect. Here our stomp intro is ready. Similarly you can create your intro. Thank you guys for watching this long tutorial. See you next week with another awesome tutorial.